off. So there's, AI scams. Okay. For the context, when I was growing up in the 1980s, early 1990s, in the 1980s and 1990s, there was Lieutenant Commander Data, the android, who's a sentient android on Star Trek: The Next Generation program, and he can replicate anybody's voice and remember everything. And so he's really dangerous sometimes because he can do all these things, and he can fuck shit up, and he can hurt his crewmen, and he's really a fucking dangerous entity, a dangerous being, a dangerous creation. A lot of times. So he can replicate people's voices and trick computer systems and all this kind of shit. Yeah, and then of course in Terminator 2: Judgment Day by James Cameron in 1990, was it 1991, 1992? At least 1991. There was Terminator 2: Judgment Day, and was it Terminator 1984? Did Terminator, did he replicate people's voices too? But definitely by Terminator 2. The T-1000 replicated people's voices, and so did the T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was Jason Patrick who played T-1000. Yeah. So that technology is here today. Maybe not fully functioning androids and Terminators. That's still, as far as we know, sci-fi. But is it really sci-fi? I mean, we have Optimus robots and all kinds of different robots now. So the robots are just exponentially getting more complex and more capable. And eventually, I think they'll become more capable, at least on a functionality and operational level, than humans. And plus, they don't get sick, they don't get hurt, they don't die, they don't get weak, they don't have human weaknesses, they don't ever lose faith in themselves. They just operate their functions. So, yeah, they just proceed with their goals and their mission, or their duties, or their programming. They don't doubt themselves or anything like that. They don't. Robots don't get stage fright. They don't get anxiety. They don't have empathy. They don't have emotions. They don't have feelings. They just do whatever they were programmed, whatever's in their algorithm to do. So they don't get scared. They don't question. So a lot of elderly people have been getting scammed either through the old school ways, but the scammers like emails. So most people, if you get an email, you're of a certain age, you know, oh man, this is a scam. Hey, give me your credit card number. You'll make $4 million tomorrow. Or the Nigerian email scam, right? Like this, like, oh, my prince has decided before he has passed away in Nigeria. Before the Wakandan prince has passed away, he has decided to leave you by order of the British and the African governments $1.5 million. So a lot of people have gotten this kind of junk mail, right? The problem is that a lot of these elderly people, they're getting senile or whatever, and they're clicking on this shit, and they're starting to believe this stuff. And the scammers are getting better at their scams with the senior citizens. They know that the senior citizens are losing their faculties mentally, emotionally, physically, and they're exploiting that, like pretending to be whatever that the seniors want or need, and pretending to be their help to their services. In addition, they're starting to use the voices of their kids and grandkids to emulate their voice, so that they can scam them out of thousands of dollars. And sometimes, I guess it could go to $1 million, but most of the time, most normal people might just have thousands of dollars, if that. So wipe out their entire life savings or something. So a man was scammed for $47,000, an older man. He was lonely. I kind of sympathize and empathize. I've always had people in my life, coworkers at a school. I've always had a friend. I've always had like a mother so far. I've always had an aunt. I've always had an uncle. I've always had a cousin. I've always had these people. And thank God they're still with me. I've always had, knock on wood so far, a grandmother and a grandfather so far. But they ain't going to be around forever. So I kind of empathize with this guy because, that could be me, right? All by myself. Everybody could fucking die, my friends and my family. And everybody I know could die. And I could be sitting alone like that guy. And that's a real possibility. So the guy, apparently his wife died and maybe he didn't have any children or grandchildren. And, he didn't have any friends or whatever. Guys don't really keep friends, past 30 unless they're like relevant, to their lives at that time. So, because life is a competition after all, isn't it? It's not really a friendship game. It's really a big competition. So, this world is a winner-take-all world, whether we like it or not. That's what it is. So, at the end of the day, that is all what it is. Was it Sean Connery in The Rock? Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Yeah. We saw Nicolas Cage in The Rock, which is kind of funny that, Trump wants to reopen Alcatraz. The Rock. Womack, you piece of shit. That's my favorite part. Or I love when I was 18, I didn't understand this part when the old men are talking. When they have the rivalry with each other, and he's like, Womack's like, shit, he can't do anything. He's the same age as I am. I gotta wake up 6 times a night to take a fucking piss. And I was like, when I was 18, I was like, what? Oh, these are like old man jokes or something? Oh, okay. But now, when you get older, you get them though. They come in actually in reality. So now it's super funny, even though it's not really funny to wake up or have prostate problems. But I'm saying, like, it's funny, like, in hindsight, right? In 2025, hindsight's always 2020. Forever. That's for certain. Hindsight is only not 2020 if you were born in 2021. I'm sorry. Did I do that ass backwards? I think? No, hindsight is not 2020 if you're born in 2019 and below. There you go. Now I've reasoned the spatial matrix out. Now it makes sense. Okay. Now the joke makes sense. Thank God. First I was getting scared. Because the reflexive mode of time, right? It's like it's not necessarily linear though. It just, I think just humans just kind of like, it makes humans feel comfortable to perceive time in a linear fashion because it makes us feel better. That's the only reason why. Otherwise, it's not really natural the way time works. Not in the space-time continuum I'm talking about. It just makes us feel comfortable that, oh, there's a starting point, there's a middle, and there's an end. It's like a book. It's like, well, a book. movie or a TV show. It just makes people feel better, right? That's what it is. It's comforting. People don't really like messing around with time ideas unless they're watching like a Christopher Nolan movie, like Memento or Tenet. Yeah, it's called Tenet. Yeah. Tenet. Or The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and that Emily Blunt. Whew. When you like a woman like that, man, she is fucking perfect. Whew. Emily Blunt. She gets sweaty a lot in that movie too. Ooh. Lucky Tom Cruise. Yeah, I know why Tom Cruise got into acting. It's called TNA. Why did Tom Cruise get into acting? T-A and money. Okay. Money. No, it's money and T and A. And that was a good reason to get into acting. That was an excellent reason. Was Tom Cruise really interested in acting? He was interested in assing. Well, that's for sure. All right. Now, I don't know what his motivations. I'd like to take a time travel machine and ask Tom Cruise, why'd you get into acting? Well, I find the whole idea of losing oneself into character to be so interesting. That's not what it is. I bet the young Tom Cruise would be like, I want to get some ass and get some fucking money. Fuck it. I'm just being honest with you. Yeah. I really care about acting. I imagine there's some actors out there that don't even care about it. Like, they're just like, I want money and hot girls. I mean, come on. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a more complex or deeper answer if you were to interview Tom Cruise. Why did you get into acting? Were you thinking about going to business school or some shit? Well, I was stacking groceries at the grocery store one day, and I was making $1 an hour, and I said, man, this sucks, asshole. And I decided to go audition for something, yeah. I bet that was really funny, right? Like Tom Cruise at the grocery store. Well, man, this is the 10 items or less checkout, man. You have 14 items. You need to go to another checkout stand, man. Like, that's assuming Tom Cruise ever worked. Tom Cruise would bring his Tom Cruise intensity to anything. I'm sorry, man, but we've run out. We've run out of hamburger toys at McDonald's. I'll tell you when we get the next batch in, man, and I'll be the first to give it back to you. Because if a man doesn't have his word, then he isn't a real man. So I can imagine myself becoming the lonely guy when everyone's dead and I have nothing left. I can imagine that. I don't want to imagine that being my future, but a negative future could happen. A positive future could happen. A middling future could happen too, like kind of okay, ups and downs, not that great, kind of a mid future. Okay, so a triumphant future could happen, a fantastic future could happen, okay, or a shitty, depressing, dystopian future, a hellish, lonely future like this guy, all by himself and all the shit, and the walls are closing in. All right, that could happen to me too. Okay, or it could happen to any guy. Right, this is the real world. So there's sympathy and empathy for my fellow man. And so the first thing is, don't have a Facebook. Facebook is just social comparison anyway. It just makes people feel like shit. Because even if you do have a good job or a house and a car, there's always somebody who's like, I'm doing more than you. I went to Hawaii. I went to France. Look at me. Woo, I'm living the high life. I'm living the good life. The problem with social media is that no matter what you have, there's always some motherfucker on there that tries to make you feel like you don't have anything. That's the shit part of social media that a lot of people don't know, or they choose not to think about instinctively. But it's pretty evident that social media is just social media comparison. It's just social comparison. It has no function except to make people feel like crap. That's all it is for. It's just for drama and bullshit and jerking off. That's all it is. It's just like you have a house and you have a kid. You have 2 kids and a beautiful wife, and there's some other asshole from your middle school going, "Oh, I have a prettier wife than you, and I went to more vacations than you." It's just keeping up with the Joneses 2.0. It's not necessarily useful. So it's definitely not psychologically or mentally useful. It's not transformative. It's not real. It's just narcissistic garbage. So that's what Facebook, Meta platforms, and TikTok and all that shit, and all social media, except for that. And I want to exclude YouTube, even though I understand that there's narcissistic social comparison qualities of it. I think, if everybody has their own channel and their own, kind of like a broadcast, I think that's, at least a unique way to get to know people and their perspectives. That is not really the same way as Facebook Meta platforms, which is more of a pictorial way to show people's lives, and it kind of reduces it reduces the complexity and depth of their lives into keeping up with the Joneses and material pursuits that are pointless, and it just kind of, I got more than you, so I'm better than you kind of mentality, and it's awful, and everybody knows it's awful. So Facebook Meta platforms is shit, and the guy gets on the shit. I'm permanently deleting my Facebook because it just people trying to spy on me, or it's family and friends trying to get juice, or they're trying to do something. There's always motherfuckers up to something. There's always some bullshit. There's always some drama on Facebook. There's always some, and it's really antiquated, really, at this point, 21 years later from its founding. It's really just useless. It's purposeless. So the guy gets on Facebook because he's lonely, because his family died, or his wife died, or all his friends and everybody died. So he's alone and old, facing the end by himself. Facing the end of your life by your lonesome. You don't have your online community. You don't have your church community. You don't have your family. You don't have your friends. You don't have your coworkers. You don't even have your boss. All you have is you and your own self to deal with. Your own life. Ooh. So then, he wants a wife to do things. It's like, I miss doing stuff with people. Like just doing stuff. Going out to eat. Going bowling. Going to the park. Holding hands. Kissing with saliva. Go supermarket shopping on Sundays. I still have feelings. I still dream. I still feel as a human being. I wish I could feel. I wish I could have a companion. I wish I could be with people and understand people and have a friend again. It's been so long since I had a companion, since I had a love, since my wife died 10 years ago, since I had a friend. I wish I could have a friend again. Someone to love me, for me, someone to spend time with me. I wish I could have a friend again. But I'm old and I'm alone. Are we getting into the psychology yet? Well, through play acting, I'm able to try to get into the psychology. All right, maybe it's not that desperate, but maybe it's reaching the point of desperation. We are social animals, but we are not social media robots. But we are social creatures, always have been, always will. And I guess until we're enslaved by the Matrix, artificial intelligence robots or androids or whatever. Until we're enslaved for energy by the artificial intelligence machines, I guess we'll always be social creatures that use language and art and science and ideas to communicate through language what we're experiencing and how we communicate with other human beings in our collective experience as human beings in this race called humanity on the planet Earth, the third planet in this solar system in the Milky Way galaxy. One galaxy out of 2 trillion galaxies in the known observable universe. So, in all that, here we are, under this star. I know they have that famous meme. They show the Milky Way, the vastness of it, and they have the arrow, you are here, stop worrying about everything. Yeah. Is that really comforting for people on Earth? Stop worrying about everything, you are here. It's kind of a perspective analysis. It's an interesting meme. You are here. I don't think anybody's taken a picture of the 2 trillion galaxies in the entire... I don't think anybody's taken a snapshot of the universe and say, stop worrying, you are here. But in the Milky Way galaxy, I guess that's quite impressive. You are here, this gigantic galaxy. Stop worrying. Yeah, why worry? It doesn't mean not worrying. It's not the same thing as nihilism or not caring. It just means why worry to an excessive degree that is not productive, I guess. Which worrying to an excessive degree would be a clinical condition. It would be called anxiety. So that wouldn't be good. So anxiety is not the same thing always as self-preservation, which is an important aspect to keep people alive or keep us alive as people. So the man who was so lonely, he got on Facebook, the Mark of the Beast Zuckerberg platform, and he got on the Mark of the Beast fucker that motherfucker, and he got on that shit. Poor old lonely old man. So he got, apparently there was a chick from Sweden on there, and about middle-aged or something, or maybe a little bit older, maybe senior citizen. She's a hot woman from Sweden. A hot woman from Sweden. Big tits, blonde hair, blue eyes, big tits. The old man's like, ooh, I need a fine companion. Yeah. Big tits. Big tits. Yeah. Ooh, blonde hair. Ooh, green, blue eyes, shimmering. Gold top. Yeah. Everybody following the story so far? All right, so then what's the problem with this? So he meets Natalie, we'll call her, on Facebook Marketplace or some shit, or Facebook Romance. And she's like, hey, oh, I love you. And they do I didn't know they already had AI generated women, on the videos that could do a Zoom call to you. So they did a Zoom or whatever. And, they blurred out the face of the Zoom, of the artificial intelligence creation that the scammer did. But looked fake to me. But the guy maybe had poor vision or poor hearing because he was lonely and sad and dying every day, like all men do, or all people do. Dying all the time, lose your dreams, and you will lose your mind, and life unkind. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could lay a hand on you when you change with every new day? Still, I'm gonna miss you. Like that. So he's dying all the time. He's got no time. He's got to find his companion. His wife already died 5-10 years ago. It's almost game over. Bogus. Goodbye, Booby Tuesday. No, it's not called Booby Tuesday. So the lonely old man that nobody ever thinks they could become is desperate. He's reaching out to Facebook, dating, and he finds Matilda. He finds the Swedish princess of his dreams. How do they even know? How do the scammers even know that he likes Swedish girls with big tits? But they know somehow. So what happens? So she's like, at first, oh man, I need some help. Send me 9,000. He's like, well, I don't really have that much, but I'll send you 5,000. And then she's like, okay. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. And so through all this, he doesn't know that a woman doesn't talk like a robot. The AI is kind of good, but it's kind of like, doesn't have, has anyone spent any time around human people to know their intonations, to know their expressions, to know that they're not AI? Has anyone spent any kind of amount of time with human beings in any place or any kind of context to know? Maybe some of these senior citizens are losing their faculties to know what a human being sounds like. Human being sounds rich, sounds real, sounds lived. It sounds like the intonation, you can't really replicate it in an AI. It's like no matter what kind of large language model you use, it sounds twitchy when you're listening to AI. It's like, then I have to go to that place. It's not maybe that bad. It's not like William Shatner bad. Scotty, you need to go there. It's not all broken up like that all the time, but it sounds funny, like the cadence of it, the sentence structure. It sounds bogus. You don't have to be an English major or a professor to know that AI sounds fucking bogus. There's no It doesn't sound like you're talking to a realistic person. So a guy is so desperate for a lover. So desperate to connect with humanity. Maybe that's his first mistake. So desperate. Yeah. Has anyone ever been desperate out there? Desperate for anything? The first mistake is being desperate. Because what people need to succeed is not to be desperate. It's to be deliberate. That means clear, in other words. So if you want some ass, you need to tell the world, I want some ass. If you want some money, you need to make sure, you need to make clear to the world you want some money. If you want some food, you got to make it clear that you want some food. You can't be namby-pamby about it. You got to be deliberate, not desperate. Desperate is bad. Deliberate is clear. That's the problem. So the guy was desperate. He gets in trouble because he's desperate. This is a world that doesn't treat desperate people well. If you're desperate for something, people don't want to give it to you. If you're deliberate, if you're like, man, I need some weed. Okay. If you get some money together and you go to the weed dealer, you go, man, I need some weed. He'll give you he'll sell you some fucking weed. But if you go, to the black dude down the street, you're like, I need some weed. And you start crying and you're desperate. He's not going to give you fucking any weed. He's like, you're a fucking loser. Get out of here. All right. It's the same thing with women. You're like, oh, I want some women. Oh, I want pretty girls. Oh. They're going to get out of here, fucking chump ass simp. Fuck you. All right. But if you're like deliberate, I want that girl, that ass, those titties. I want that. Then you might get it, you might not, but at least you're being clear about what you want, right? Because you're not being desperate, you're deliberate, guys. That's the clarity of it. And that is, if you're going to be a great writer or communicator, you got to be clear. You got to be specific. So when you're in writing class, it's the same. Every goal has to be stated what it is. It has to be specific if you're actually going to achieve the goal. Otherwise, you'll never achieve it. No, but you're not going to get shit if you never declare what your goal is. You have to be specific in writing, in life. It has to be a clear goal. Otherwise, it will not be achieved. It will be looked at as desperation. And if there's one thing that not just women hate, it's what the world hates, is desperation. And so desperation, I guess it's equivalent to weakness, but I don't even want to call it that. Spell out what you want and then make it happen. I'm not saying it's easy. Life is hard. But just because life is hard doesn't mean you and I can never win. Just because things are difficult don't mean that the problems cannot be solved. It just means the problems are more complex. It takes more of a learning curve. It takes more effort. So what? I guess sometimes I told my friend, Tom, I said, man, I got this problem and, I'm working on doing this or that. He goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I guess the pyramids weren't built either. In Egypt, Cairo, Alexandria. But the man was scammed out of $47,000. Maybe he's got some early stage dementia. Maybe his wife has been dead for 5-10 years. It's starting to cripple him. Maybe he was desperate. But like Commander Spock says, in Balance of Terror and the original Star Trek episode about the Romulan Empire against the United States or the United Federation of Planets. He says, weakness is something we dare not show against our enemies. Weakness is something we dare not show. It doesn't mean that we aren't weak or we're not vulnerable. It doesn't mean we are super gods or supermen or superwomen or super people. What is true is that desperation is not attractive. And so the man was desperate. So he let himself get tricked by a Facebook AI simulator. Men, if you live long enough, you realize that desperation is not attractive to women. You'll never get a woman that way. Women always want guys who are leaders, doers, achievers. They want to buck their dad. That's what they want. They want the captain of the football team. They want the winners go home and fuck the prom queen. They want that. They want the commander. They want the leader. They want the naval admiral. They want the champion. They want the captain. That's why, if you're an incel and you struggle with this, that's why you and I have had struggled in our whole lives getting laid, because we failed to understand what the game was to begin with. Well, you can analyze the game as if it's fair, and it never was fair for anybody. Remember, the fundamental principle of life was this, is that we didn't choose to come here. We were brought here. And now we just have to deal with it. So you can look at that as a slavery or a prison sentence, or you can look at life as a way to expand, to grow, to succeed, to understand. Now that's probably the proper way to look at life instead of an accident that we weren't supposed to live, that we weren't supposed to be here. It's better to look at life as we were predestined to be here by God, by the infinite creator of the universe himself or herself or whatever it is, whatever the entity is, whatever the sexual identity, it doesn't matter what the entity is, but it's better to think of life as we were meant to be here. And it's our world to make better and to make more peaceful and to spread love and harmony and understanding and compassion in the world and to spread beauty and art and love foremost, highest above all. If not, then what are we doing here? What is the purpose then? I guess it wouldn't mean anything unless it had a meaning. So God bless and best of